Hello everyone, and a happy new year. You're all probably thinking, what the heck, Plato, a new Outriders build guide? That's right, today we're going to be looking at a build guide I should have posted during the initial launch of Worldslayer, but decided to not since many others had a similar guide out at the time. So why now? Well, I came back to Outriders a few weeks ago, and figured that since I pretty much have a min-max version of this build, people may want to see it. This build is the triple turret AP Techno focus on the Techmonger set bonus and will share many similarities to my Lethal Shaman Borealis build. If you're interested in the Lethal Shaman version, check out the description below or the pop-up popping up on the top right hand corner. The main difference is that we're using the Techmonger set bonus versus the Borealis set bonus, and there will be no weapon swapping, so a much easier learning curve. Before we get started with our skills, if you aren't following me on twitch.tv/PlatoBear, pause this video right now, click the link in the description below, and send a follow my way. As always, a quick reminder of our Techmonger set bonus. Using turret skills increases turret damage by 10%. Bonus lasts 10 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. The skills we'll be using are Cold Snap, Blighted Turret, and Cryo Turret. Cold Snap to apply our lethal devices from our PAX node and the satisfying Icicle Storm Pop. Blighted Turret to take advantage of the adrenalizing antenna node on our class tree for additional anomaly power and to refresh our Techmonger bonus. Cryo Turret to apply and refresh our Techmonger bonus, lethal devices, and of course the massive turret damage. For our class tree, let's quickly go over Techno's class passive. Mainly the most important trait we'll focus on with our class passive is the 15% skill leech and the fact that we heal as we do damage. Yes, this means our turret damage as well. You'd have to be trying to die running this build, and even then you'd be hard pressed to succeed. Moving on to the actual class tree, we're going standard metal tree, so nothing too special here. As usual, I won't be going over the nodes in detail, but rest assured, this is the optimal tree you'll want to be running for this build. For our PAX nodes, we're going to go top tree starting with Initial Striker for increase in our anomaly power, since we're always going to have higher anomaly power, then moving on to lethal devices, which really makes the whole build pop. Our ordnance and gadget skills, which include our Cold Snap and Cryo Turret, will apply Toxic to all enemies hit and deal an additional 5% of anomaly power as damage if Toxic was refreshed. The damage here is a nice bonus, but most importantly, the Toxic application is what makes this node S tier. This is going to synergize really well with the Permanence PAX node on this top tree branch. Moving forward, we take Painkiller so that we can move on to Permanence. Inflicting Toxic on an enemy has a 100% chance to inflict a random additional status, which is going to synergize with the last node in Dissection. We deal an additional 5% more damage to enemies for every status inflicted on them. Nice. Heading to our Ascension Points, the first 10 you'll want to focus on will be Anomaly damage. For the rest, the order really doesn't matter, as you'll get enough points eventually to put it into the main stats. Just make sure to focus on Anomaly power, Resistance Pierce, Status power, cooldown reduction, and more damage to elites. After that, you can just put them where you want to. For our gear, starting with our weapon, we're only going to focus on our primary, as we're not going to be swapping from it, as there really is no point. We're running the Mythos with Omen, Mage's Rage, and Fortress. Now you don't need the Mythos or Omen really, all we need is Mage's Rage and Fortress. So any weapon that has those two mods, aside from shotguns, is going to be just fine for the build. Omen is a nice third mod to have, as it does apply a debuff and bleed that can feed into our Dissection, but something like T3 Storm Whip instead is just as good. Mage's Rage, although bug fixed, is still a great option for this build, as crit shots are going to give us a 10% anomaly power boost for 15 seconds and stacks up to 4 times. This means our Cold Snap and Turret will be doing more damage and is fairly easy to keep this uptime. Fortress works similarly to Mage's Rage, but without the quit requirement. Shots increase our armor and resistance by 5%, stacking up to 3 times. More importantly, when we do reach max stacks, we gain a 25% damage increase for 10 seconds. You'll know when Fortress is activated, as the visual indicator is our hands turning green and will again boost our damage. Note that you will lose both Fortress and Mage's Rage bonus if you swap weapons, so that's why we just stick to the one weapon for the build. Transitioning to our armor, the stats you want to prioritize for our non-Techmonger pieces are Anomaly power, Status power, and the extra one can be either Skills Life Leech or Cooldown Reduction. For our headpiece, we have the Techmonger Mask. Great attributes and great mods. The great thing about the Techmonger build is that you'll be just fine without any of the Apocalypse mods. The set is really designed to work well just as is. For the mods, we have Double Trouble, Euthanizer, and our POC mod being Twins. Double Trouble is one of the new turret mods and is the mod that makes our turret look like tanks, as it deploys an enhanced turret with 2 barrels instead of 1, doubling the fire output. For Apocalypse version, we have the Twins mod, which is great as it allows us to drop 2 turrets. For the mod we added to our headpiece, we have Euthanizer, which gives us a nice 16% damage to enemies afflicted by Toxic. Thanks to lethal devices, we'll have 100% uptime of this damage bonus from this mod. Our chest is going to be the Techmonger vest with the mods Icicle Storm, Increased Damage, and Captain Hunter. Icicle Storm is great for our AoE clear, and while Increased Damage isn't the best mod as it's just a flat damage increase, the stats on the chest piece make up for this. Now you could run a purple chest piece with the same stats and then go Techmonger gloves to use a more ideal mod, but then you sacrifice the stats we want as the Techmonger gloves have max health, which is not ideal. So while Increased Damage isn't the best, I'd much prefer all of our pieces to have Anomaly power for the additional damage. Lastly, for the Apocalypse mod, we have Captain Hunter, which is just the best Apocalypse mod you can get on chest and should be in every build. Additional 16% damage against elites is very nice, and as another refresher, those pesky alpha pros also count as elites. For the pants, we're going to be completing the Techmonger set bonus with the Techmonger pants. The mods we're running are Improved Coolant, Shatter, and V Compound. Improved Coolant gives our turrets even more damage as it doubles the fire rate, making them into turret machine guns. We replaced Freezing Boost, which is the native mod on the pants, for its bigger brother Shatter for the 16% increased damage to enemies that are afflicted by freeze. Since our Cold Snap and turrets will always be applying freeze on enemies, this is another great damage dealing mod with 100% uptime. For our Apocalypse mod, we have V Compound, aka Captain Hunter Light. We deal 10% more damage to elites that are afflicted with Toxic. Sweet. Moving to our gloves, we're running some sweet purples that have Anomaly power and status power with the mods Long Winter, Arms and Anomaly, and Power Assimilation. Long Winter is there to help us with increasing our snap range by 50%. This means our Cold Snap will hit more enemies, which means more enemies will be hit by our Toxic Tick thanks to lethal devices, and also means more enemies dying to our Icicle Storm. Arms and Anomaly is a S tier flat Anomaly power boost for us as long as we hit a crit shot. The cooldown here is negligible as it lasts its cooldown duration. At Apocalypse 40, we get a massive 650,000 Anomaly power boost. Our Apocalypse mod on our gloves, we have Power Assimilation, which is another nasty mod. For each elite present on the battlefield, we gain 250,000 Anomaly power boost at Apocalypse 40. There is no cap on this, so the more elites on the map, the more damage we do. If you don't have purple gloves with decent stats or mods, you can simply use the Techmonger gloves as it comes with Radical Therapy, which is nice to have until you upgrade. Just get rid of turrets with benefits that come native on the Techmonger gloves as that mod is simply garbage. Last but not least, our boots. We're again running some dang purples with Anomaly power, Skills Life Leech, and status power with the mods Hailshot, Toxic Piercer, and Unstoppable Force. Hailshot is so good as it makes our turrets do even more damage. With this mod, our turret's damage is increased based on our status power. Even with the status power penalty at higher Apocalypse tiers, this mod is still a beast. Toxic Piercer is the best T2 mod you can actually get on boots for this build, as there aren't any other better mods that drop as a T2 mod for boots. With this mod, the effectiveness of Toxic increases by 100% of our resistance pierce. This will provide additional tick damage for all those pesky ads that get hit by a Cold Snap and Long Winter combo. For Apocalypse mod, we have Unstoppable Force, which gives us a 50% Anomaly power boost based on our resistance pierce. Unstoppable Force, just like Toxic Piercer, is also the best T3 mod that can roll as an Apocalypse drop for this build. The boots mod pool is pretty lackluster in general, so this is the best we can do. Note that if you don't have the purple boots with decent stats or mods, you can again simply run the Techmonger boots as it comes with Hailshot natively. Swap off Focus Discharge for any of the mods that work better for this build. Time for a few tips and tricks. Utilize the Techmonger set bonus for turret damage. Using turret skills increases turret damage by 10%, and this bonus lasts 10 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. This means when you first launch your 3 turrets, you gain a 30% damage increase. Now, while you may be thinking, I'm going to just spam my turrets off cooldown, this only applies to Blighted Turret and not your Cryo Turret. Each time we replace our turret, it takes them a good second or two to retarget an enemy. For Blighted Turret, we don't really care as this does 0 damage for our build. The main purpose of Blighted Turret is to keep uptime of the Techmonger bonus and the Anomaly power bonus we get from using the skill paired with our Class 3 node and Adrenalizing Antenna, so please spam Blighted Turret as you please. For Cryo Turret, however, if it's blasting an enemy, let's say an Arbiter as an example, don't throw them out again until it's near the end of the duration. Better to have them blasting the Arbiter than utilizing it for the Techmonger bonus damage, as this provides more damage per second in the end. That said, this is situational. When you're running expeditions or trials, as you're moving along with the gameplay flow, reposition your Cryo Turrets so that it focuses on the enemies you need to kill. Tip number 2, spam your Cold Snap on cooldown. Due to long winter, Icicle Storm and all our synergistic interactions, ads will just disappear off the map, and it provides great crowd control. For our last tips and trick, make sure you keep the uptime of Mage's Rage, Fortress, and Arms and Anomaly. This is a good chunk of our damage, so just shoot some crits here and there. That's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the surprise impromptu build guide. As always, if you have any additional questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Feel free to also check out my other Worldslayer videos that should be popping up anytime now, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and also hit that notification bell if you want. Another reminder to send a follow my way on Twitch at twitch.tv/PlatoBear if you want. Who knows, maybe I'll finally get around to that Pyro build guide at some point, or not. Have a great 2023 everyone. Peace.